Becky.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're doing Bickering Book Reviews. Today we are talking about Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. And this book is about Luna, who is just graduated from high school. And she is spending the summer working for her mother's wedding planning. I was going to say bride making, which isn't a thing. Wedding planning business. And they have a very, they have a very difficult client this summer. And so as part of the deal, they take on the client's brother, who's named Ambrose, as a part-time worker. And Luna has always kind of been avoiding falling in love since she had a very tragic thing happen to her with the last boy she was in love with. And so Ambrose bets Luna that she can't date like he does because he has a different girl every night. And Luna bets Ambrose that he can't have a steady girlfriend throughout the summer. And obviously romantic sparks ensue. That's the very general.
It is, and I just don't even know, what I want to say about this book, because I love Sarah Dessen, and I don't want to, anger the Sarah Dessen gods, because she is amazing, and I want her to keep writing books, and I'm going to keep reading books, and I do want them to keep sending arcs if we get arcs or whatever.
We did not get an arc.
We didn't get an arc. We had to read it for reals. Well, I listened to it.
I listened to it. So I listened to it. I love her audiobooks, though. See, and I've listened to almost everything of hers in audiobook.
Actually, no. I'm not loving her audiobooks because her characters stand so well on their own. I like to have my own mental voices for her characters, and I think that probably would have been a better book for me, I think, if I had read the whole thing.
Oh, see, I listened to it, and I literally, there are some Ambrose parts that I was literally driving down the expressway laughing aloud.
Oh, no, he definitely makes me laugh. I just think that she is the queen of characters, and they stand on their own, and I don't want to listen to somebody else read them for me. I want to create my own voices for them.
See, and this to me felt like a classic Sarah Dessen book, because Sarah Dessen has been writing books since I was actually a teen, and I sadly have not enjoyed her last few as much as the early ones. And I thought that this felt like she went back old school, and I loved it.
There were definitely pieces and parts of it being old school. However, there was one, and I'm not even going to really kind of get into it because I don't want to spoil it, but there was the one layer to it that I felt just, it didn't gel, and I think that it's kind of, I was told that it was a book about blah, blah, blah. It's not really a book about blah, blah, blah.
That is true.
It doesn't have the action that if the book were about blah, 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 not spoiling it, it doesn't have the action that you're expecting. So then, to me, it was boring because this book is not about blah, 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 and it's boring in that regard. And I also felt and I think I felt the same way with her previous book, Saint Anything. It felt like it was two different stories. She didn't develop this layer, but if she had just stuck with the wedding planning business and the Luna Ambrose story, it would have been just fine. I think you could have taken out that whole kind of tragedy in Luna's past, reworked it as a bad breakup.
See, and I'm very sensitive about what the tragedy was, and I liked the way she did it, because I actually, when I got to that part, I was actually texting Sarah, and I was like, I don't know if I can finish this, and I thought that she integrated it without making it the focus, and I think she really talked about how people around the tragedy deals with it.
See, but I think the reason why, because she didn't actually go into it. I think it was very kind of disjointed.
That wasn't Luna's story. Luna's story was the emotional fallout from it, not the actual event.
Right, but I don't think she was even fully into it with Luna, though. I think it was a very kind of outsider's perspective. Yes, it was an outsider's perspective because that's what it was, but it was an outsider's perspective of it. I don't think you were in it.
I don't know. I just really, I think
that's why you were able to kind of read this book, because it was an outsider's.
Which is possible.
Whereas I read these kind of books all the time, and that's why it didn't work for me.
See, I don't know. And I thought, because I feel like Sarah Dessen writes teen coming-of-age stories with romance, and I feel like that's what it is, and she nailed it perfectly.
No, I don't think she nailed it perfectly with this one. I think that if she had just focused on the Luna Ambrose story, it would have been better than trying to add that tragic layer. For me.
Should we just rate it?
But I still love Sarah Dessen. Don't get mad. I'm not totally trashing you. This book was good enough. I mean, your characters totally stood on their own. I loved all of the characters. I was still looking for all the old characters. I'm gonna read all of the rest of the books from now on.
There was like the little link between this and Along for the Ride, which was one of my absolute favorite Sarah Dessen books. And when they got there, I was like, yes. It's like every time like one of her books where they're like, kill spinnerbait. I'm like, yeah, I actually want to order that T-shirt that says kill spinnerbait.
I love you. I love it. It was just like this book. Some of it didn't work for me, but I'm still gonna keep coming back.
We should just rate it.
Okay, fine.
So our rating scale starts at the top with 4 unicorns, goes down to 2 unicorns. If we don't love it, it's just a horse. I'm giving it 4 unicorns. I loved the characters. I thought she did a good job of describing the emotional, trying to get over something. And like I said, I hurt Ambrose.
So I'm giving it 3 unicorns because sans the layer I had problems with, it was a solid book.
That's
where we're at.
Once and for all.
All right, adios.
Bye.